Homecast.
Alright, let's start recording. So, hi everyone, welcome to my Homecast. So today I invited one of my guests. He is one of my friends from my college, and I've been a while not seeing him since like probably 5 or 6 years now. So I would like to introduce him, Simon. Welcome to Simon. Would you like to introduce yourself a bit more?
Yes, thank you for having me, Emily. Hi, everyone. I'm Simon Hober from Dresden, Germany. I am a 17-year-old climate activist. And yeah, I'm currently studying for my final exams in high school, which is quite tough, but I hope I'll be able to manage it somehow. Yeah, and I'm so looking forward to our conversation today.
Amazing. Thank you so much for I know you're so busy and you're actually spending some time with me and doing some amazing conversation, because I know that you're always being amazing. You've been doing a lot for, I know you do a lot for your world, the country and stuff. So it's so smart. So I just every time when I see your page, it's oh my God, it's amazing. And one time, I think recently, actually 2 weeks ago, you text me again and hey Emily, how are you doing? Would like to catch up. And I was oh my God, actually that is such a key incentive. And I was that would be amazing if you are free to be my guest and joining my Homecast. And you said, yeah, I would love to. So that's how it goes. And what you've been bringing your story or your objects to me, then would you like to introduce about it?
Yes, I have brought three objects today to talk a little bit about what I'm doing and where my motivation comes from, and because it's quite tough sometimes as well, and I think it's important for us, not only climate activists but young people who are facing so many crises today, probably more than any other generation that came before us. And yeah, I want to start by introducing something that is when I hold it in my hand, it's so small, but at the same time, in reality, it is so big, which is a little globe that I actually got from my mom. And I love just looking at the globe and going around from country to country and continent to continent and looking at this planet that is, with evolution of millions and billions of years, come to be such a beautiful place. And yeah, and I think what my feelings are when I look at it is just amazement at how this world has been so amazing to us. And yeah, of course, if I look at it to maybe describe a little more for your listeners as well, it is of course lots of blue, lots of water, continents that are yellow and green and red as well sometimes, and also of course the Antarctica and the Arctic as well, which are still white. Still white, yeah. But that is my first object because of course much of my life and what I do is because of what people do to the world, and we youth trying to restore some dignity in how we treat the world, which is why I brought this as my first object.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I noticed so bring a little bit background from Simon. Actually, I know that you have been doing sort of education sort of stuff, and also talk about like, you know, human right, and also something about global warming as well, like things to topic, like, you know, just like in social, like in like a society and thing. Would you like to talk about a bit more? Because I think it would be really nice, like in like my home class, to actually educate and tell some of your experience, like about where that come from, and also I'm sure like that is related to your first object as well, because it's about the world, about human, about
Yes.
everything. That would be lovely. Thank you.
Sure, sure. So actually, when we met, which is crazy, but it's almost three. It's like 3 years ago when we last met, right? Um,
Mm,
just which is crazy. But actually, after I came back from the UK to Germany, um, I started. Of course, that was during the height of the COVID pandemic,
mm-hmm,
and I started to realize not only politically but in general, how crises are treated when they are actually treated as a crisis on a global level, and
mm-hmm,
we saw that with COVID. I think on a global scale, how everyone took every ounce of our strength to get through that time, even though there were lots of, from lockdowns to wearing the mask all the time, lots of changes to our lives, but we knew that in order to protect each other and ourselves, we had to do it, and we did. and
mm-hmm,
and I came back to Germany, and I realized that we treat one crisis as a crisis, and the other big, maybe the biggest crisis we have, there's just so few people actually caring and doing something,
mm,
especially in the world of politics. And you know, and if I look at my future, and of course also at the future of my friends from countries that are geographically less advantaged, um have less advantages than Germany has, like from especially from the global south, of course.
mm-hmm,
And I talk to my friends from Pakistan, for example, from Colombia, for example, from Uganda, and they tell those stories, what the climate crisis is for them, because for them it's not some abstract numbers, some extra abstract reality. For them it's daily life, right? It's
yes,
their neighbors getting washed out of their village because there's so much water coming down at one time, and then the next summer they don't have any water at all,
mm,
and need to walk miles and miles and miles to find water. And that's the reality for them. And I think it's in, it's also our responsibility to then say, okay, we go do something about it. And I think yeah, I think that's what brought me to Fridays for Future, to fight with other young people, and those sometimes as well who are young at heart, to fight for a common cause, that I think many people can actually relate to, because
mm,
everyone who has children, everyone who wants to have an livable planet in the future as well, can relate to some ground rules, in terms of respecting the planet. And let me add one more point, maybe, which is in our main church in my city at the moment. There's a great artist called Luke Jerram, who started a such a cool project, and he built a 7 meter big model of the Earth.
wow,
And it is amazing. It is in the middle of the biggest church in our city. It's hanging there, so peaceful, so chill to look at. Um, and it is crazy if you see that and think, how can we, as those who are actually on that planet, be on the verge of destroying our own house, our own planet where we currently yeah, where it's the only place to live on for us. So I think that's my main motivation, and that's why I brought the globe as well, because I think it's just describes so much. It's so much motivation. It's so amazing. Yeah, that I just had to bring it.
Amazing. I mean, thank you so much. That's actually mean a lot because that's part from our lives, firstly, and secondly is I noticed like I don't know how I think last year we've been like catch up a little bit and we've been talking about how like you've been working on with like time to time with like sharing like the educations, how to like telling to the government or even like share like the human right or also like the panic like what is happening so far in the world. That is actually really important. Even like even a tiny little action is still something. Would you like to tell me
Yeah.
about more what you've been doing recently or like something that you've been starting like a society like to tell people more about things been happen
Yeah.
or affecting like the world, please?
Of
Thank you.
course. So I think we get those. Let me start a little back. When we hear those reports, when we get those numbers that the global temperature is still rising, emissions, CO2 emissions, and greenhouse gas emissions are still rising on a
Mm,
global scale. Drastically, at the moment, we're currently at around 420 parts per million CO2 equivalents in the air,
wow.
which is up from normal levels of just 200 years ago, where it was 280, and it was stable at 280 for hundreds of thousands of years. And
Mm,
we humans, just with industrializing ourselves, shot that up to 420 in just such a short amount of time. And everyone, if you have a graph and you look at it and it's stable, it goes up and down a little for hundreds of thousands of years, and then in 200 years it shoots up. Everyone, you don't need to be a climate scientist to realize that there's something wrong, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we've been trying to tell people. You don't need to know everything about the climate crisis. You don't need to lead the perfect sustainable life for yourself to demand that systematically we move towards a world that is more just in terms of handling treating our climate. And yeah, so that's what our message is. That's what we tell politicians, but also those working in the economy. But, and that is the most important thing, also just normal average citizens of our society. Not
Mm,
everyone has the privilege of being able to besides having a job, having a family, maybe to go out and demand climate
mm,
justice, and that's totally fine. Um, but we've been trying to tell people, y'all, we need you in order to change something. We need y'all to understand that if you do come with us, and take the fight to our streets in order to put pressure on politicians to act and to put those 420 parts per million back down to a level where it's not dangerous to ourselves.
mm,
And I think that's where many people can relate to, especially by the way young people who are so in this, who know the stakes of this, um, that are of course incredibly high, as you know.
wow.
And yeah, that's I think resonating with people, and and that's maybe that's my half object that I brought with it, which is a picture from the last global climate strike.
Wow.
And the last global climate strike happened on March 3rd, and it was actually a global climate strike. People were demonstrating in every part of this globe that I talked about, and this is, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to describe it for the listeners. This is in my
Yes, please.
hometown, where we walked through not only the historic parts of our city, but also I have another picture as well, which is pretty well known as well. And
Wow.
we were holding a banner which said, climate crisis is now, hashtag tomorrow is too late. And that is something that I want to tell people all the time. We don't, often with crises that are political, and we can say, with the next government, maybe it will be good, maybe
Mm-hmm.
when there will change, when the minds of people will change in 25 years, we're good. Well, yeah, but we don't have the time for that. And, that is something that old people, if I may call some people old that are working in politics, um, they just don't get that this is not a crisis like every other crisis, and we need to tell them loudly and clearly. And we did that on March 3rd in my city and around the world.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Like, how long have you been doing it though? Like, I think you start like doing the society like 4, 5 years, isn't it? If I remember, but not really particular sure.
Yeah, so exactly with Fridays for Future is existing for 4 to 5 years now. Um, um,
Is that the
and which is
society
crazy, by the
name?
way.
Oh, sorry. Is it
Yeah,
the society
exactly.
name? Okay, cool.
Yes,
Would you have like
exactly.
any platform or website to able to share that like we can able to follow it?
Yes, definitely. So there is this international website of our movement, which is called Fridays, like Friday, the day of the week, fridaysforfuture.org, in which you can get all the informations. We're also Fridays for Future on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter, and everyone in every social media. I guess we're somewhere we are present. So you'll be able to find us there, and you'll get all the information about what we're doing, when we're doing it, and how things are going.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Do you still have another object you've been bringing or like that's it?
Yes, one more object I brought, and that is again more of a symbol.
Mm.
And I can hold it into the
Oh.
camera. You're able to see it. It is actually a polar bear, and it is yeah. I brought it, and I thought about bringing it, and I was I wasn't sure about bringing it because many people say, well, if it's just about the polar bears, then we're not that bad off. We can we can be okay with having no polar bears. But the polar bear is also more than that. The polar bear is a symbol for all biodiversity happening on
Mm.
Earth. It's a symbol for peace, for leaving nature its place in the world,
Yes.
and not interfering with it. And I think the polar bear, that of course faces the danger of going extinct in the not so distant future, unfortunately. Um, but the polar bear, is such. Every time I look at it, if you look at it as well, it's such a just a cool animal. Such a you know it symbolizes freedom in a way for me if I look at it, and I
Yeah.
think that is what we're also what we should have in mind when thinking about what we want to protect and why we're protecting it, that there is
Yeah.
much more than just saving us or our friends from somewhere. It is also all the animals that come with it, all the nature that comes with it. The challenge is we face is stark. It is happening now, and we must address it now as well.
Amazing. I mean, be honest, like three of the objects you bring, I can feel it, and also I can tell there's like a lot of story why you're bringing it. So it's mean a lot, and also I do where you get where you come from why you get like the polar bear, because I think since ages ago when I was like really young, when I was little, they start to like saying Iceland and like global warming, temperature getting like higher and stuff, and most of the animals like don't have place to stay, they don't have enough food, they need to move around, like actually struggle, and humans still keep damaging like stuff and try to keep like not realize about it. And I'm so glad at least some people still realize it, and someone actually start to do some action that is actually really thoughtful, and you're doing the right things. So I mean, thank you so much for being like running like those society, because this is amazing, and that will be helping. I don't know how much can be helping, but like at least you're starting it, and this is a good start for education, because I don't really think like through nowadays education they do really like focus on that type of topics, but that is actually part of my life. So this is a really good life lesson for everyone to know about it. So yeah, thank you. I'm actually going to have a few questions to ask about you. It's actually like something it might be related to some of your
Hmm.
objects. So you ready?
Yes, of course I am.
Lovely. So the first question is, what is the most important things you have learned in your life? What was your life like before learning it? What was your life like after you learning it?
Okay, I'll definitely go with learning about the climate crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would lie if I'd say otherwise. Because before learning it, on the one hand, life was pretty peaceful, because it was kind of that childish romantic paradise of having everything, being with your parents, chilling, going somewhere, but once you learn about it, you can't go back.
Mm.
And that sometimes hurts, but it's good on the other hand, because had I not learned about it, I think there would be something missing that I now can say is definitely something that I'll fight for my entire life. I with that with finding out about that, I found some sense of reason for working hard, for doing what I do. And yeah, so it definitely changed me a lot. But yeah, I think in a good way as well, in some terms.
Wow. So where do you learn from those like informations, or how you realize it? Is it like someone told about you, or you just like sort of realize it in news or some other platform then?
Yeah, so the first time I realized it, like, was when in 2018 in Germany there was an extreme heat wave, like never seen before heat wave, and everyone was saying,
Mm.
"Oh my goodness, that is an event we'll not have for another 100 years." Maybe maybe in the next 100 years we'll have one or two more of them. But and and we saw that, like, in our parks and forests, the leaves of the trees were not coming down when they were supposed to, but way earlier, because all the sun they get in normal summers was already there in like mid of summer. So, and they were coming down way too early, and we all realized, like, holy shit, what is happening? And yeah, that was the first time. But when I really got the, like, click in my head, was that the next 2 years actually were almost as much heat as in that event that we thought would only come once for 100 years. And yeah, so that was pretty crazy, realizing that is gonna be the new normal. We're not gonna go back to where we were 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But we are in a new world, in a new place.
Yeah, I was feeling the same. Thank you so much for telling me. But yeah, I was feeling the same because I come from Hong Kong. In the past, I actually got winter, but like now for Christmas time, it's actually like quite hot. It's like 28 degree in December time, or even like summer. It's actually like crazy. It's like rarely like you having winter time in Hong Kong. I mean, although in Hong Kong we never snow, but it's like in the past we still have like at least 2-3 degrees, like, winter time. But now it's like completely different. It's like 28, 31 degree.
Imagine, yeah.
Crazy,
so, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, like, I don't know, it impacts a lot because, for living as well, also for animal. Imagine, like, animals will be, like, actually living a different environment, and, climate change definitely impact to not just animal, but also with, like, daily, like, human life as well, I presume, because of, like, farmer, things and everything. And I presume, like, there's something that I might learn from global warming as well. It's like when I was like little, because like back home education, they do mention about it, but they don't really like precisely say why and what we need to do, like, to helping to save the world, or like, what is sort of like a solution to make it like, helping for global warming, to make it like, not increase about it. So do you have like any like sort of things that we can do, or like a little task for us, like maybe we can do about it to, save a little bit for the animal, for human, for the world? Do you have like any things that maybe would be good for us to do it?
Yeah, so I think there are certain steps that everyone can take in order to really make a difference. And I'll go from I'll go with I'll touch on really quickly on some different issues that we have there. First one is yes, it does make a difference in terms of changing our own lives. It's not the crisis we are in, because if that were the crisis we are in, if we would change it by not using plastic bags, right, then we'd not be in the crisis that we are. But it is a part in the solution that is way bigger in terms of trying not to go by car everywhere and so on, not eating meat every day, but less often. There are those things that every one of us can change. First thing. Yeah. Second thing is inform yourself about the climate crisis. Inform yourself. Read books. Read the IPCC reports that are maybe scientifically tough to understand, but so important if we want to change something about it. However, there are good other books as well, and it is so important for us. To inform ourselves. Third thing is talk to others. It does make an enormous amount of difference when we go and speak to other people, even if they're not exactly of our opinion, and go try to approach others. You'll always find that there are some certain common grounds that everyone wants to have. Everyone wants to leave the world for their children in a better state than what we are living through. Tell the stories of the people, of the great climate activists of the global south, like Vanessa Nakate, who's from Uganda and who's doing such a great job in advocating not only for climate justice, but also for children's and women's rights, which is amazing. And then I think the most important argument that I can make, which is my fourth point, is engage in a way that changes things systematically. Either that can be different stages of life. There is the person changing the school ground in terms of putting solar panels on the roof. There is the person changing the university approach to how it teaches climate in its studies. And of course, there are, if you have the possibility to rally people around you for a political cause, there is that possibility, what I do in my hometown as well, and that is so important in order to get this right, in order to get to 1.5 degrees Celsius and save our future.
Wow, thank you so much, Simon. That's amazing. I mean, the first task, if everyone can remember, use less plastic bags. So if like the supermarket asking, you want a plastic bag? Say no, we have a bag to prepare, because it's actually like a tiny little task, but actually tiny little things, if everyone doing it, will be like less harmful for the world. So bear in mind, and actually I do all the time as well, because I think using plastic bags is actually not eco-friendly. And slash actually, like, for me, what I do as well is eat less meat. So become, I think like in Falmouth, so I'm studying Falmouth University now, half of the town, like most people are vegan or vegetarian. So like I think our city is quite eco-friendly, and also we have a quite strong thought about like how to make tiny little world change, and try to recycle things and like things like that, try to education. So I think like share out and follow like Simon's like society. So maybe share out and tell people a bit more how to change a bit, maybe after 5 or maybe longer 10 years we can see the result. So little change is always still helping. And last but not least, I do want to ask like one question. So what make you feel inspired or like you best yourself?
Yes. That is tough. So wait, you're asking who my like idol or who my person is that I look up to, right?
It can either way. So I can repeat the question. So it's
Yes.
like what make you feel inspired or like your best of yourself. It can be like
okay.
things or like experience, or it can be something that like based on the story that affecting you and make you like feel inspired or change about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think there so first thing is people. People that stand up for what they believe in, that stand up for climate justice everywhere in the world, that are absolutely amazing, doing the work against all odds, against all those challenges that come up, and those are, a lot bigger in some other parts of the world
Mm.
compared to Germany, where we have a stable democracy, where we can say what we want to say and think what we want to think. But those people are definitely what inspire me to be the best person I can be. And then I think what also is inspiring is to see that people, if they put all their forces together, there are good things happening. It's not like we do it and we do it and we do it and we see nothing coming from it. No, if we keep fighting, if we keep going, if we keep working hard, if we keep talking to people, if we keep changing societies, but also politicians and politics, I think we see good results coming from it. And I know some of my friends personally who are having difficulties with believing in that there is still progress that will be made with
Mm.
after all the years of organizing demonstrations, of organizing talks, of organizing alliances with the unlikeliest of partners. Yeah, but that is also what keeps me going, is that there are results. At some point you will be successful if you keep fighting for that cause, and we saw that in Dresden. That is my final point that I want to make, because I think it's a great example of what we can achieve if we do it together, which is that in Dresden we put together a big alliance, a big movement that actually collected 30,000 signatures from ordinary people in my hometown, which is a town of in only 500,000 people, right? And still 30,000 people signed that petition, where we asked our government, together with all those other people, to put up measures to reach Dresden climate neutral by 2035, right? And we did that not with winning an election. No, we did that by putting together the people, putting together the motivation to go out to collect these signatures, to talk to people who weren't of our opinion in the first place, but got up to it because we are at the end of the day fighting for the same cause. And that is such a great example again of what we can do if we do it together, if we decide to keep going and not giving up.
Wow, thank you so much. So, yeah, I mean, this is amazing. Like, what you've been doing, it's actually so inspiring. And again, I feel like what I've been learning from like Homecast, because like I've been doing quite a lot of like episodes at the moment with like different guests, and they really inspire from based on their story, based on like each object that they've been bringing to me, and I like just translate through based on what I've been observed through their story, and just make artwork and share it to people how I've been inspired from. And I feel like the main thing from today, I think I learned from is don't give up. Being like trying is a really main key, because if you don't try, you never know is it possible, and everything is always have a possibility in it, so it's worth to try. And I mean, like, if I mean, all the audience never know you, but I know you a bit because I know you since when I was in like my college, like around 2015, around that time. And then like since you're quite young, and then you talk about magic, and then through like now you're actually doing something that is about everyone, about the world. As I can see, like you really like into it, and actually like want to share those knowledge and what you've been experiencing through like people's story as well. So it's like something that you want to make the little change, even you're not sure how it will be at the end, but you telling people that it's worth to try. So this is actually like a really meaningful story. Thank you so much, Simon, for doing that.
Yeah, of course. It was great talking to you again, catching up and telling my story a bit, and maybe I inspired some of your listeners to be hopeful for the future as well, and to engage in civil life, in political life, in the fight for our world that we all live in, even though you're some hundreds of kilometers away. We're still on that same globe, on that same planet, and maybe someone is inspired by that, and if it's only one person, I'm happy with that. And so thankful for you doing this project, for you talking to different people from different aspects of life. I think it's great thing you have started there, and wish you the best of luck for the future.
Thank you so much, Simon. I think again, I will send the website and the link after with in YouTube or in other platform from my Homecast. So everyone, if you would like to know about more about how they're doing it or want to helping out and share it out, please do. And I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you, Simon, again.
Yes, see you. Bye bye.